Vambora. É hora, hein? Vamos descobrir, vamos descobrir, vamos ver.
Pegar essa platina aí do Indiana Jones.
São 22 minutos, vambora.
Peguei 18. Lembra? Vocês viram
Hello
o
and
vídeo do
welcome
cara?
to the
Muito-
official
Opa.
Xbox podcast. I'm your
Não tem
host,
português
Tina
não, só
Nini.
tem
Calma aí,
inglês mesmo?
pausa aí.
Special
E vê
episode
se
today.
tem em português.
22 minutos só.
Porque como é vídeo, às vezes tem... Não tem.
Não tem. Bom,
Tem.
a gente...
O auto-translate eu acho que
auto-translate
funciona.
Vai lá.
Vai ter
Português.
alguns errinhos, mas dá pra entender.
Isso, dá pra entender,
que
vamos lá.
importa.
Como é gravado é
Can probably
menos
tell
erro,
by
viu?
the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome.
E o Sarah e Matt, vamos ver.
And we're going to talk about some updates at Xbox. We want to talk about game exclusivity.
Ih, já
We wanna
chegou
talk about
falando.
Activision Blizzard,
Opa,
now that they're
Activision
part of our
Blizzard.
Aí, ó.
portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass.
Peraí, dá um
And we
pause aí,
wanna talk
rapaziada.
about hardware,
Peraí,
too,
calma
and
que eu
all
tive
this
quase
fits
um
into
negócio
the
aqui. Dá um pause aí.
strategy at Xbox.
A gente acabou de receber um superchat
Ah.
da Young Banana de R$500.
Que isso,
quê?
cara?
R$500! Pô, tenho o Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 e Nintendo Switch. Mesmo assim, só consigo jogar no PC. Super me identifiquei com o cara aí. Muito obrigado, Young Banana. R$500? Muito obrigado.
Que isso, cara?
Essa
que
é...
absurdo. Muito...
Não, para.
Não, calma aí.
Espera aí, ó.
Mas, cara, que absurdo.
Não, é que assim, ninguém viu.
Ninguém viu.
Mas essa foi uma das maiores crocodilagens que eu já vi nesse programa. Eu achei
Absurdo.
incrível, mas vai lá.
Absurdo.
Bom,
Vai.
vamos lá, continue, gente.
So, where should we start,
Ó, eles
Phil?
falaram que vai ter Activision
Well,
Blizzard também, pessoal.
When we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably
Estão
would have
pensando desde
started with
dezembro.
Activision Blizzard.
legenda
Maybe
tá ótima, tá?
talked a little bit about the
É, tá.
exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out.
Notícias
so let's just
imprevistas.
go
Notícias
and tackle
imprevistas.
the
Notícia, ele
exclusivity.
fala
Vai lá, vai
notícias,
falar.
ele não
Because I
falou
know
rumor,
it's
tá?
on the
Ele falou
minds of a lot of
notícia.
people. We hear from the
Ih,
community,
rapaz,
and
vamos
that's
ver.
an important
Estamos ouvindo a
input
Vamos ver.
comunidade.
So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games.
Quatro
to
jogos
other
vão chegar aos
consoles.
consoles. 4.
Just 4 games. Not a change to our kind of
Não é uma
fundamental
mudança em
exclusive
nossa
strategy.
estratégia.
It is, we're making these decisions for some specific reasons.
Tá.
We
Que a
make
gente
every
sabe.
decision
Diz que ouviu.
really with
É.
the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a leadership team and to grow. And we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right
Tomara que
now.
falem quais são os 4, né?
to
Vai
help
falar,
our
vai
business.
falar.
So we're going to do that.
Certamente.
So, these 4 titles,
Ah lá.
what are
Yeah.
they? Can
Ah
you
lá.
say?
I'm not going to name
Ah,
those games.
não!
Teams that are building those games
Phil!
have announced plans that are not
Ah,
too far
não?
away.
Tá, não estão muito
As we
distantes.
know,
Eu
game
chutaria
teams
Indiana
put a lot of
Jones.
energy
Bom,
into their
não é um dos,
announcements with the
dos deles.
partners.
Não,
então,
não é, não é.
I
Ótimo.
don't want to take anything away from those teams, so I won't be talking about the titles
Não vai falar
specifically, but I
especificamente.
think when they come out,
Cara, mas...
it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
Opa, ó,
They are
respondendo
not
mesmo.
Starfield or Indiana
Não
Jones.
são.
não
What
são.
was the criteria
Indiana
in
Jones
how
não.
Qual o
the team
critério?
was thinking about
Olha
selecting
só.
those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for
Acho que são
any
jogos que
decision
não foram lançados
that
ainda.
we
Então,
make,
a gente já
anything
falou
we're
do,
gonna talk
do
about
Hi-Fi Rush e
today
do
is
Sea of
the
Thieves.
long-term
E já
health of
saíram.
Xbox.
É.
That we're running a growing platform
Estamos
that
executando uma
is
plataforma em
reaching more
crescimento.
players, that our games are having as much
Minecraft.
success as possible.
Aí estão
And I do
mostrando
have a
imagens de
fundamental
jogos, né,
belief
galera?
that
Não
over
quer
the
dizer
next
que esses jogos
5
vão
or 10
chegar,
years,
tá? Só estão
exclusive
mostrando aí.
games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight, because if
Tá
you
falando
look at
que
the
cada
last
vez vai ser
10
menor a
years
questão dos
and what the
exclusivos.
biggest
Na
games are
indústria.
Na
today,
indústria.
it's a
É,
natural
né?
place. Whether it's one console
Ele
and
tá falando
PC,
que é a evolução
multiple
natural
consoles,
das coisas.
mobile console and PC, you see big games landing on multiple platforms. And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying
Ele
to
tá
realize that
enfatizando
potential.
isso
But now back to the
para
specifics
mostrar
of
que
the
eles não
question
querem
on these
desfazer do
four specific
hardware
titles.
É.
console, né?
We looked at
Xbox.
games that are over a year old.
Vimos jogos
so
com mais
they've
de
been
um
on
ano.
Mais de um ano.
Xbox
Então, ó.
and PC
Ah, tá.
for a while.
Então talvez
Peraí.
o
A
Sea of
couple of the
Thieves, né?
games
Que é o
are
que foi...
community
Alguns são montados a comunidade
New
Sea of
games
Thieves.
that kind of first iterations of a franchise that have reached their full potential, I'd say, on Xbox and PC.
Eu acho que é Sea of Thieves que ele tá falando aí.
Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in.
continuar a investir,
part of
atingir o seu
having the
pico.
ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises
Não,
continue.
isso faz muito
I think it's
sentido. Né?
important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So two of them, kind of
Dois deles são
community-driven
voltados pra
games that will
comunidade.
end up on other
Então esse
platforms.
tem que
acabaram
ter
em
outro.
outras plataformas.
Qual seria esse outro?
Não é um Hi-Fi Rush, não é um jogo de comunidade.
I'd say two of the other games are
Dois
smaller
dos
games.
outros são jogos
Ah,
menores.
esse é o Hi-Fi
Were
Rush,
never
né?
really meant to be built
Nunca
as
foram
kind of
feitos.
platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that.
Fanfare.
But games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios, regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just
Sim,
drive
ganhar mais
more
dinheiro.
business
claro.
value out of those games,
É o
allowing
que ele tá
us
dizendo aí, né, galera?
to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that in our portfolio. And when we don't damage Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these four games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward, I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players
Sim.
on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good
Sim, faz
brand
sentido.
value for Xbox
Colocar a
there.
marca em
So,
outras
four
marcas, né?
games, no promise beyond that. So if you're
Tá.
on those other platforms and you see these four games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not.
Tá. Não é que
Um,
tudo
and
vai
we're gonna
chegar.
learn.
São esses
So
quatro,
when you
né?
are
Ele tá
thinking about
falando
the
aí.
future and this concept of live service games,
Estão
games that can
testando.
benefit
Estão
bigger
testando,
audiences,
exato.
new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change
Só o
to
Fio
how
fala,
we
né?
think about
É.
exclusivity.
É.
We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show, where we showed great games that are coming to Xbox and
delícia,
PC and
teasing.
cloud, which really makes them
Grounded, tá falando
accessible
aqui.
to
Ah, Grounded. Boa,
hundreds of
galera.
millions of
Boa,
people.
galera.
Boa.
So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that? Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best creators.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
First party Game Pass.
Yeah, well, to build on
Agora é mergulho.
what Phil just said, one thing I would add, when you were talking about growth, is
Yeah.
just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform. And that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform.
Certo.
Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day one. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox.
Ah,
So
então
there's
portanto,
sort
o
of
Game Pass
starting
somente
points
terá
for
no
us.
Xbox
Game Pass
mesmo,
não
né?
vai chegar a
As
outras
Phil
plataformas.
Quer
mentioned,
dizer, tem no
there are
PC, né?
games today
no
that you
PC,
can play that
outros
only
consoles, por
can be
enquanto,
found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player, to me, the two key things are cross-play and cross-save.
Cross-play, cross-save.
Those things
Interessante.
allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts. So not all of our
Você ter
games
acesso ao
today
seu jogo em
are
qualquer
necessarily
lugar, né?
built to take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing, and I think is something that we as First Party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, with the
Opa,
coming
até
together
luz.
that we had with Activision
Aí,
Blizzard
ó.
King, that Activision and Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass, starting with
Olha,
Diablo 4
Diablo
on March
4,
28th.
28
de
We're
março.
super excited to share today.
Foda.
And it's all part of our commitment to make Xbox, the Xbox experience, and the games that we build is widely available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all
34
enjoy
milhões.
the fantastic experience of Diablo
Joga em
4.
Diablo.
Amazing. Can we
Não,
go back
isso
to
é
the
muito
point,
legal, porque o
Phil, you
Diablo
mentioned at the top, this
tá com
isn't
dificuldade,
really
né?
a change
E
in
trazendo pro Game
strategy
Pass
for us.
Vai
muito
ampliar,
mais gente
né?
jogando, você amplia e dá uma nova vida pro
And I
Diablo.
thought
Sim.
both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of talking about what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. You know, if you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first-party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this. That makes it possible for you not only to play with your friends wherever they are, but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements to the games. I think that's a technology I would love to see applied to more platforms. But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content community in cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win.
Agora
Like
eles
we've
estão
had different
vendendo a ideia de
taglines,
que é
different
bom ter
strategies,
jogar em
jogos
qualquer lugar.
em outras
words that
plataformas.
we've used, but always with this
Vamos
view
começar a trazer então
that
Activision Blizzard King pro Game Pass.
Xbox is a platform
Começando
for
pelo Diablo
creators who want
4.
to reach the most
Então,
players.
acho que COD é questão de tempo, né?
Our investments
Acho
in
que podia trazer os
xCloud, our
COD antigos,
investments
cara.
in
Agora vai ficar
Minecraft,
louco.
Começar pelos
Minecraft,
antigos,
and
né?
now Call of Duty and other
Ah,
large
Call of Duty.
franchises so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy
Não,
that
ele
we've
tá
been
falando
on
que
for, I'd say,
o
a
Minecraft
decade.
foi uma franquia
It's
deles,
not
ele
about
abriu
one
para todas as
device.
plataformas,
It's
e
not
agora o
about
código que
games
eles
in
têm também
service of a
é
device,
todas as plataformas.
but rather the devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be. Because really a healthy creator community on Xbox, a healthy creator community in gaming all up is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
And my understanding just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation. We're one of the largest publishers
verdade.
on the Nintendo Switch, especially when you put Minecraft
Que já
into the
estavam lá
equation
e-
as well. And now
mas
we're
agora
one of the
pertence à
largest
Microsoft, né?
publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want to continue to be building great games that millions and millions of people can love, and that they can play those games where they want to go play. But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox. Many people know I've been on Xbox for over 20 years. And I want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20 years. That means healthy player community, healthy creator community, and healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute
Tô
best
falando que vai ter o
experience
rádio, né? Porque muita gente já
somebody
tava
has
querendo
on
apocalipse, não vai ter
Xbox,
mais
hardware
Xbox e
that
tal.
Não
we
vai ter mais
built
console,
Vai ter mais
né?
console,
and
é.
that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot of ways it was. There were some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed. But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an
Como assim?
industry
A indústria
doesn't
não
grow?
cresceu?
You end up with some
Yeah, it's
job
true, né?
eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone
Acontecendo com
in
todas
that.
as gigantes. Isso.
É, realmente.
Think about
Lucrando
a
mais e
healthy
demitindo
industry.
Mas a verdade,
I want
nesse caso da
players
Activision
who
Blizzard nem
believe
tanto,
that they will
mas no
find
caso
the
das
best
outras,
games on the platforms that they
contrataram
love.
demais e
I want
errado.
people who
E aí
invest
acabam tendo que
their
demitir em
careers
momentos que não
redundância, né?
deveria.
here
É.
to feel like this is a place that they can be successful.
Quantidade de projeto de mais de 100 milhões de dólares que deu errado, pô. Não, Forspoken, Saints Row, a WWE teve um monte de crise. Pô, os caras fazem um monte de jogo merda, pô, aí tá errado.
2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that latter point of how do we make sure Xbox is growing for our players, growing for our creators, so those people are finding success on our platform, which will grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're obviously thinking about our responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming communities. How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Well, as Phil mentioned, I mean, two of the biggest ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it, for the player community, it comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's that library? I think those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah.
When we think about, on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find the biggest audience possible. That's just the nature of building a game. You want people to enjoy and participate in what you've made. And I think we're in a unique position to deliver on that just because we are the platform. We build hardware, we've got a first-party games group, and then we've got a system that ties that together, that brings together your friends, your progression, your achievements, all of that. And I think that's really what has contributed to the momentum behind some of these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, just step back and you look at the history of the industry, we've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud. How do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Power World. Power World was able to launch, they were a game preview, they launched in Game Pass, they also simultaneously launched in Steam. So the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success, and it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview. We have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud
rapidão.
ever.
Pause.
Falta quanto tempo aí?
Uns 5 minutos.
5 minutos. A gente recebeu outra doação de R$500.
Não é possível.
Eu tô achando que a... Tolanquim mandou R$500. Na verdade, um de vocês pode ser o futuro do código das mãos da Microsoft. Em breve a gente vai falar. Só terminar aqui. Só deu um pause rapidamente. Vai lá.
A gente vai passar por tudo que eles falaram aí. Muito obrigado. Vai, pode continuar.
Growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more, because we see all those signals.
So we're talking about the role that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this earlier, it's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that, that the games are going to go great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators right now building for Xbox than ever before by nature, thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. We're also invested in the next generation.
Fim do ano, né?
Próxima geração já. Estão falando próxima geração também.
Isso é quente que ela falou.
Holiday desse ano vai ter anúncio.
Vai ter anúncio de hardware no Xbox.
Mas deve ser aqueles que vazou, pô.
É verdade.
And then when we're talking about hardware too, there's these other considerations that are really important to our community, probably to each one of ourselves as well. When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. You know, as we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, you know, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced back compat coming to Xbox One. Like, it was fantastic. People were reading the teleprompter before I could read it. Slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the auditorium as we were saying that in online. You know, one of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows and how Windows over decades has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it. Like, I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally, it's tighter, which makes compatibility, you end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation.
Bom, se comprometem a manter os servidores, digamos assim, né?
And what we're going to support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward, is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
You know, when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get to access Game Pass. And all of the games from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game Pass day one. And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player-first features, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you know you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens where you are. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
Yeah, just that investment in the studios is so, and we feel that as part of first party with the platform proximity. You know, it's kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations in the industry. What does that mean for players? It means that the biggest games are going to continue to come to Xbox. And this 2024, the year coming up, we've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2. We've got Diablo expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should go.
Em junho, que é E3, né?
Exato. Vamos ter mais anúncios de jogo de Xbox.
Thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Então já estão anunciando em junho, ótimo. É bom pra gente saber que vai
ser. E o console novo mostrado no fim do ano.
Muito bom programa, esclarecedor.
Cara, muito bom, bem esclarecedor, muito bom.